All right.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is Newman, and you are here with the Gimbalabs crew. I see Alex is here, and the Code Cow, and Faizan, and Monique. We're all here, and we're glad that you're joined us. We're genuinely glad that you're here. Um, Thursdays, we meet and have a thing called Open Spaces. It's a governance action. We talk about the projects that we're here to do and go through a Sociocracy 3 or S3 governance process. And we have a lot of things to cover today. So I think we've all checked in and I think we're ready to jump in. Harsha, does that sound right? Oh, I wanted to mention that we are in the full moon time and it's in Capricorn Sagittarius for those that are following along at home. Harsha, did we cover everything? Are we ready?
Yes,
Harsha
yes.
is my
Do you want
co-pilot.
to jump into the list of proposals we need to cover today?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now. I'm sharing my screen and I'm gonna bring up our Notion board. Unfortunately, I am traveling and I'm only on one screen, so this will be a fun way to do this. How do I? Why are you? Okay, here we go. This is interesting. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is our Notion instance. This is a listing of all of the proposals that are currently in our hopper in the Gimbal Labs project. They include things that are in proposal phase, but also in this consent phase, but also that are ones that are in progress and are going. I just heard that possibly the um, the maintainers, the PBL maintainers closed out and is finished, which I want to acknowledge is a super great thing. Um, uh, One of the things that we do here is we have a running agenda for all of the projects. Uh, oh, uh, this one. Okay. Can you see that? Today is the 15th, and um, we wanted to talk about these projects. Um, and we'll start here. Alex has some proposals. Um, this one I didn't quite catch up, but Nori and I, through the Odin community, have this summer of collaboration. So we'd like to talk a little bit about that one. Nature Dopes, Andrew, is uh, has something on the video updates for the PBL. All the videos there can be updated. Emmanuel and his friend Jethro are here. Who have an education project in Nigeria, and Code Cow is also here, and he has this community code review that we've been working on, and also I Felix from Mesh and Swarm wrote in with a proposal that I wanted to mention. I don't think he's here, but it's about continuing on with live coding sessions. Uh, and this one's interesting because it's actually funded by the Mesh community, and it's just asking for our time. Um, have I, is anyone here that they're like, ooh, my project that I want to talk about is not on the list? Is not on the list. And you can answer in the chat or in the or come off mute. Anybody? Anybody? Ooh, okay. All right. So what I'd like to do then is just by way because we have a lot. I don't want to just go down. I want to get just a word from those sponsors briefly to talk about their projects for just like the elevator pitch, like just a few seconds, just so that we hear about them all at least a little bit. Um, I and who should we begin with?
We can go down the line, no?
Yeah. All right. Um, let's go to so Odin's the Odin community, and some of you are familiar, most of you may be familiar, but this is a network of networks, and based focused on collaboration and community participation in a modern sense. And one of the things is we're also recognizing the summer sort of special summertime, and we've got a proposal for small experiments or projects that we're going to do in short little sprints. Um, and I like this idea of low risk and high learning. And it's sort of a fun or light projects. And our ask is, participation from the Gimbalabs community. Um, to participate and to run little experiments. Has a lot to do with this, and one of the nice things is that we're gonna run it through the Andamio platform. Um, uh, it's and I want to get Nori's voice in there. So Nori, just a short little intro to the project, if you think.
Sure. Um, Odin as a community has been talking about what to do over the summer, and this has kind of evolved over the past month of conversations between the community, and we thought it'd be fun to do something hands-on and run little experiments. Um, we've been doing a lot of S3 sociocracy kind of stuff. We've been talking about governance and different things like that. So we figured maybe we could have the community as a whole, the network, propose small 1 week projects that we could do. And then maybe we run one at a time and everybody jumps on board, or we run a couple at a time, depending on how many people show up for this thing. Because there are like teams that have an optimal size. And then just kind of iterate over the summer and see what we can accomplish. And we have a little bit of funding through the Leadership Academy. And the other thing that Odin is seeking for this is other communities that have some small treasuries to pitch in and help fund the incentive side of things as well. But so we're looking for people to come in and play, and we're looking for funds so that it's not all just a volunteer thing, but it can be a meaningful, rewarding experience as well.
Excellent.
Does that
Yeah.
sum it up?
Yeah, that sums it up, and then hopefully we can dive down into this. But I just want to give everybody a chance to just give a little bit of primer on their project. Um, so going down the list, Nature Dopes, and then Emmanuel. Good. You want to just give a little bit on your project? Off? Are you on mute? He might not be there. How about we'll loop back to you, Emmanuel. Do you want to tell us a little bit
Sorry, I
about?
was muted.
Okay. There you go.
I'll
There
go.
we go.
Sorry, that's
Yeah,
fine.
you're good.
Yeah. Yeah, the maintenance course is complete, which is great. On the back of that, we at the beginning of that we realized pretty quickly that the amount of work that was going to be involved in that we all came to an agreement that the videos were going to be a bit out of scope. We did create a couple of videos as part of that project, but we agreed that the videos would be left towards the end and another proposal would be made for it. So this proposal is to update 32 videos, which are either outdated or don't exist at all, for the PPBL, Plutus PPBL course.
Yep. Excellent. Yeah, short and sweet, and then like uh asking for like I guess I read that it was to kind of get more people creating videos and editing.
Well, as part of it, we want to open it sort of up to the Gimbalabs community by leveraging Andamio, thinking of what I've wrote is setting up an Andamio project for it and putting in 32 tasks with an ADA reward for each one. And then I
Nice.
think as long as you've completed at least say module one of the getting started at the Gimbalabs, then that means you're you've qualified to be a video contributor, and then we go from there.
Nice, nice. That is one of the nice things about I see with all these projects is the chance to use Andamio. Um, okay, and thank you very much, Andrew. Emmanuel, do you want to give us a short little bit on your education project?
Yeah, sure. This proposal is about um, onboarding new developers in the Nigerian community. Basically, the students. I find it it will be very, very great to onboard these students to Cardano development full time. At the end of the through the education by using the Andami platform, Aiken and Plutus PBL. So, and I think this proposal has been on the Notion for board for a while now. I think since last year. So, yeah, and yeah, so now we are resuming back to a new session, and students are ready to catch up on things they would want to learn before exam gets started. So that is why we are using this opportunity to come on and get started with the education on with Andamio. So yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And I'm looking forward to digging down into this one today. That would be really good. Okay. The next one is Code Cow on the community code review. And Harsha and I have also been working on this. Code Cow, would you or Harsha, do you want to who
Yeah,
should
I
give
can
this a
I can
little
give
talk?
like a quick briefing on
Yeah.
this. So CodeCow brought his project, which is called Double Spend, and it has a couple of validators on it. And in the ICANN PBL sessions, we were reviewing CodeCow's code, and um, me and Newman as junior developers were like trying to like read the code and understand the code and stuff like that. And through it came a process of, or through it came an idea of like community reviewing of code or DApps. And so we wanted to bring a proposal that actually helps like small scale projects or projects with like small budgets uh, uh, so that their code can be reviewed without having to spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars on audits. So that's the
Yep.
basic idea, and we are trying to figure out how to build a framework around community reviewing smaller projects. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
the basic idea.
Beautiful. Anything to add, Code Cow? Oh, audit. And Alex in the chat is saying that audit is a big thing, and this is a great idea. Yeah. We talked about like the auditing market, and that it's something that all builders at some stage, once they have a product and it's in pre-prod and going to mainnet, which is where his double spend is, or even getting, there was a magical thing that happened, and we want to sort of capture that if we could. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
guys, I think
Oh,
Harsha
yeah.
described it pretty well. This is Code Cow. Thank you.
Yep.
But yeah, we just like the idea is to or one of my ideas to go along with it was like maybe if we don't have other people coming in with their own projects, we could go through all of the open source code that's already out there, like whatever Sunday Swap or something, and go through in the process of like us as learners reading the code and understanding it. I think would be a valuable thing for just all of the community to kind of have that content of like this is where the rubber meets the road. This is all of it. This is the code. This is how we read it. This is how we understand it as new developers. But in addition, the productized version would be like I could see some business here where like a full audit is so expensive, and there's a market for less expensive audits that offer different things, and yeah, so it's just like an interesting thing that we kind of came up with. I think we all just really liked how it worked when we were peer coding, and we
Yeah.
thought like this is something. So that's kind of where we're at.
And well, I'll add, and that's beautiful. And actually, I love the idea. I'm thinking about Alex with the sort of open source code review. One of the things that I want to interject real quickly is the student or the noob focus, like letting the noob or the Newman role. I like noob. It's guide the process because it's sort of, for whatever reason, I think that is a big part of the magical sauce of it. You know, it kind of turns it on the head because I've been to plenty of code presentations where it's just the builder and they, you know, I lose touch with them and they just rattle on. And I think most people kind of lose touch. Alex, yeah, I see Alex's hand is raised. We can spend a bit here, and we're getting through super quick, so this is great. Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking about code audit and was just maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's a bad idea, but Gov tool, like if you look at the ideas that CodeCow proposed to audit, maybe it's a good idea to audit products, but maybe it's a good idea to audit the software at a lower level, like Cardano Node and Plutus and other repositories which are open source, you know, because you cannot really get easily access to, I don't know, a product website. It's mostly proprietary. But if you want to look at the code, you should look at the open source code, and that's core Cardano stuff. And I would suggest looking at the tool. GovTool is really kind of in needs of some auditing, probably.
Yeah, and I think that, and I see James's hand is raised, but you know, one of the things about I always associate with you, but also with Gimbalabs is creating contributors to open source projects. Which, thinking about Nori and Odin, like learning the collaborative techniques and habits that would help with success. James, what do you got for us?
Yeah, just wanted to highlight exactly from what Alex is saying. One of the things we talked about earlier this week when this idea came up is that even if we don't find new projects that need to be audited right away, a good way to start this process is by auditing code bases that already exist out there. So I think that fits in really beautifully with Alex's point.
Oh, yeah. And just wouldn't that be great if that was like people knew that they could come here and get, you know, deep and technical, but then also beginner friendly and onboarded, you know, in a structured way. There's a lot that I love about this. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Next one is this one from you know, Andrew mentioned it, and this is from Felix that we know from Swarm. I know from Swarm, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is Felix here? I invited him. He may or may not be here. But he works at Mesh now.
Yes.
I didn't know. That's really cool. But here the Mesh crew is saying, hey, we love live coding and they want to keep it going. They did the Mesh PBL and they've got a big giant playlist here. And what they want to do is fund this, keeping this going. And it seems to be pretty considerable in this amount. So we could talk about this and how this might fit in with our mission and fit our driver and fit the community here going forward. All right. Now, so that tells us everything that we've got. Oh, I'm in a different. Here we go. So let's does anyone have to leave, or is there any reason why they want to go first or last, or is anybody nervous and they want to just get it out of the way, or what? Who wants to go first? And we're doing great on time. We have an hour to talk about.
I need to leave I need to leave 15 minutes before the end, so I'm not bothered about going first, but I wouldn't mind being one of the first few if that's okay.
Let's do it. I think this one's a great one. And unless James, do you want to, I mean, to get into real speak, because I feel like this one, I, I was a little bit like thinking in like what it means to sunset the Gimbal Labs community. Um, and I, it kind of sunk into me, and I'm going, it sort of, I got like, it's gonna be a whole, like I'll miss being able to come and visit and do things together. But I don't think that that's really what's on the table. We're sort of we're transitioning. So, and I think that's what you mean, James, with your project, the what's next for Gimbal Labs. James, do you want to come off the mic and just talk a little bit about that? Because I do think it sort of prefaces the whole thing that we're doing here as we're getting ready for the summer, but then on into the future, what
Totally.
Gimbal Labs
Yeah,
might
thanks,
mean.
Newman.
Yeah.
And just to keep it really short, I mean, one thing is we know we're going to take a break from doing these dependable several sessions per week for the next few months. I'm feeling personally, and maybe some people relate, I love this time together. And I also struggle to do deep work sometimes
Yes.
because of this cadence of meetings that we've committed to. And so it's wonderful to have this commitment. Um, but having, we did this last summer as well, right? Just having a
Yeah.
chance to give ourselves a break from the fast-paced commitment to all of these weekly meetings and to encourage each other, hey, dive deep into something, make more maker time this summer. That's the number one goal. In the
Yes.
longer term, we want to figure out how to make Gimbal Labs sustainable and how to distribute its ownership. So whatever happens this summer, there's going to be some activity from Gimbal Labs this summer, but it's really urgent at this time that we can get to the point of whatever Gimbal Labs is going to be off into the future, making sure that the administration falls to a group of people who are invested in its long-term success. There's several different ways to approach this administration, but the current way of doing things just isn't sustainable, right? The current way of doing things is that all falls to me. I have this role as source, right? Having started Gimbal Labs. But it's been my goal from the beginning to make sure that this is a place where look at this group of people who's gathered, right? Where we can all get together, drive this work, but also share in the administrative overhead that makes something like this possible. So
Yeah.
there's some creative stuff that we can do, but I think to start, giving people a chance to make of Gimbal Labs whatever they will this summer is a really nice chance for us just to all kind of test out what each of us wants it to be individually.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
And so
Love
if
it.
that's all we say for now, and we come back in September after a summer of doing awesome work, and we all
Yeah.
have ideas, and then in September we figure out, hey, what's that structure? That might be all we need to do.
Excellent. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's that, that makes sense to me. It's just like, oh, hey, and we've been talking about this. We've been talking about removing the scaffolding from Gimbal Labs for quite a while. In that sort of learner thing. The and as I talk about to Harsha's about it, it's like these relationships are here, and then where do we, how do we support them in that Gimbal Labs thing, and what does that mean to elegantly move, to remove the scaffolding as opposed to just pulling the plug and saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're not doing that." And then
Right.
and then it's you always, and this is always something about my personal thing is like I always think that there's some other conversation that's going on, and I want to have those here in our open space so that we can do it and if not a better way, in a different way. So thank you for that. So hey, let's have a
Thanks,
great
guys.
summer, and then in September, let's get back together and say, hey, how do we go about this? That's brilliant. All right. That being said, we're such good time. Andrew, let's talk about your project. I can give you the chance to share, or if you want me to share and you want me to a pilot. And then I also ask, how much time do you need? You want me to set a timer for like 5 minutes, 7 minutes? What do you think?
Let's go with 7 minutes, and we'll see if I get through. I'm usually a pretty quick talker, so
Okay.
straight
Okay,
over.
cool.
The first thing, if you wouldn't mind piloting, please can you move? And I would like it to be you, Newman. Could you move the maintainers one to done, and then we can maybe have
Oh,
fireworks.
oh my goodness, that
Right.
would be so good. That would be so good. I would love doing that.
There's
There
not
we
enough
go.
emojis for that. That's amazing.
Uh,
And Andrew, is it considered done if people haven't gotten paid yet?
all right, yeah,
Oh,
technically, but we're gonna we'll message it about that. We'll get through that.
here
I
it
think we can
is. Here it
consider it
is.
done. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Andrew's
do it just
wearing
so.
the decision maker hat for how these funds are ultimately distributed. So if you have any
Yeah.
problems, make sure to
Yes,
bring them to
yes.
him.
Yeah.
And so this is where it is, right here. So it's the community governed maintenance of Plutus PBL course. Um, and here is the status. We take it from here over down to this beautiful green done button.
Congrats, team.
Ah!
Unbelievable work. This project has gone better. I was the original writer of this proposal, and I couldn't have imagined it going better than this. The way the four of you have worked is amazing. You've set an example for the rest of the Cardano community about how we can manage a public resource. And I do think we have some work ahead of us for kind of writing down what the lessons are that you all have learned from working together. So I'll be interested if anybody wants to follow up and talk about like what is the bigger picture success story here. But we should be audacious in how we talk about it because it is remarkable what y'all have done. Um, if I can make one last request, can we call it
Mhm.
PPBL 2025 now?
Oh.
Yes. The one thing that is a bit of an issue is that I couldn't see how to change it on the actual Andamio course.
We
Oh.
can do that.
That
And I'm
just
happy if you guys
Yeah.
need me to do the busy work of changing fours to fives. I'm happy
I'm
to use
happy
that
to
as a
do take on the bulk of that as well, no problem. It's just I didn't want to. I wanted to change that first and then cascade down, but I couldn't. If you were able to do that, then that would be marvelous.
awesome. Awesome. Any objections to calling it PPBL 2025 instead of 24 moving forward?
No objection from me.
All
I'm
right.
looking at the
Super
participants.
exciting. Thanks again, team. You guys, it's amazing what y'all have done.
All right.
Okay. Well, I guess from that going into the actual proposal I put in here. So on the back of the maintainers project, which I mentioned in the review, uh, we quickly realised it's a lot of work. There was four of us instead of the original five. So we kind of agreed at the beginning that the videos were going to sort of be out of scope. If you wanted to do one, you could, but in the end, I think Lawrence actually created three whole new lessons and did videos for them. I created a new one the other day, but it's a lot of work in the videos. So I've been through and I've noted that I believe there are 32 videos which are either there is no video at all, or it's outdated and it needs updating. Which the videos are like on the YouTube channel, so they can be hosted on Andamio, but they are all hosted on the YouTube channel. It links to. Sorry, my phone going. That's rude. So yeah, so the intended outcome is that we create 32 new videos. And the way I've detailed it is that we would leverage Andamio to do this in the hope of opening it up to the wider Gimbalabs community. We could create a project on Andamio, and then we could split it all into 32 different tasks, each tied with an ADA reward to it. What we would ask is that anybody who wants to contribute would need to carry out the Getting Started at Gimbalabs course, which is a very basic course, but it's just to prove that you've come to Gimbalabs and you've attended an open spaces and you've that sort of thing. And then you can contribute. So then you can create a video In terms of administration of the project, I think what I've laid out, and it's just I first penned it, feedback would be much appreciated. But the idea would be a video editor, sort of which I believe Sebastian did last time, who would take the raw video from the contributor and maybe the Gimbalabs card and jingle to it, which I just want to point, I think is really, really important part of Gimbalabs. I just think
Right.
I remember as a student doing those first videos. There's
Yes,
something so Gimbalabs. I'm not a marketing guy at all, but there's something so Gimbalabs about it that music and opening jingle. It needs to be in there.
Yeah. It's a key part. Yep.
Possibly a video Q&A to someone then who is maybe a bit more of a Gimbalabs OG to take on that position. I'm not entirely sure about that. That's why I've got question marks next to it. But then there'd also be a need to be a coordinator. And that coordinator probably would provide some sort of technical assistance to any video contributors. But the main part would be, well, big part of it would be handling the Andamio side, handling the tasks, the budget, maintaining a Notion board. I'd propose doing that like we did with the maintainers, where you'd have to coordinate who's doing what videos, and we could use Notion for that, using their Kanban board. And yeah, that's the majority of it really. So the impacts and benefits, so I'll skip ahead a little bit. What I've listed out there is obviously this would help Gimbalabs users and students continuing their learning journey. We get a lot of feedback that the videos are really important. I think it would help to enhance the Gimbalabs brand further. Obviously, it would be fresh content, but also just another chance to display the our ethos of community-led problem solving, which is central to the driver in the first place. I think the evaluation criteria would be, well, it's quite quantitative. There'd be 32 new videos, and each contributor could upload a final YouTube link as evidence to Andamio, and then you would get paid out. Timeline, again, it's just rough, maybe 2 months. And then resources required.
Wait a minute. Did I do that? Oh, come on now. Sorry.
A recommended recording software, but I guess there's lots out there. I've been using Awesome Screenshot for some things. Maybe they could use that. Probably a Notion access for an approved video contributor. And then I've calculated some sums a little bit further down, if you wouldn't mind just going down a bit further.
Yep.
Again,
here we go.
Absolutely open to any sort of critique or what people think, but yeah, 32 videos, 150 each for a creator, a video editor. I mean, that could all just be in one role, 50 per video, possibly a QA person, and then a coordinator. So the budget would come in between 8 and 9,600 ADA.
Yeah.
Responsibilities. Yeah, I've listed out a bit more detail about what I think I went over that in the detail, but that's the way I see it at the moment. A video editor, a QA, and a contributor stroke project lead.
That's excellent. I feel like I know what is going on, but let's have a round where people can respond with what they think of it, or if they have like clarifying questions, or do they see some holes that need to be addressed. Are you ready for the round?
Yeah, fire away,
Andrew. All right. And since we have 17 folks here, does anybody have a burning question, or I'll check the chat here. You can raise your hand if you've got something, and then we'll go down. Harsha, go ahead.
I think the proposal is great, but I do think 50 ADA to edit like probably a 30 to an hour video is a little bit less. So something to consider, yeah.
Okay. It's too low, did you say, Harsha? I don't know much about video editing. Do you mean that's too low?
I think it is too low because
Okay.
whoever is editing has to go through the video at least 4 to 5 times. So that itself is like probably 4 hours.
Okay. All right.
Okay, that's something to think about then.
Let's set. I'm going to set a timer for 4 minutes to go through to do the to do this round of clarifying questions. And that will be great. And James, and then Pavon.
Yeah, I would support what Harsh is saying. I think it's possible to place the same scope with a higher budget. So I would certainly consent to same work, but a little bit more funding on each of those videos and the editing. But the question I would ask is, one thing we've learned from making videos over the last few years at Gimbal Labs is that making a video alone actually takes longer, right? And it usually yields a higher quality, more focused result. So that's very good. But one of the reasons we do live coding is that it's actually a more efficient way to deliver videos. And so I was just wondering if the
Mhm.
team has thought at all about how you'd want to balance sending people off to sit alone and making as perfect videos as they can in kind of that solo atmosphere versus maybe embracing a little bit of imperfection and doing things more efficiently in like a live setting.
Yeah, very good point.
That's good
It's kind
feedback.
of me who just penned this very quickly in the last couple of days based on what we talked about. So it's not been like I just wanted to have something to present to get the ball rolling, but I think that makes a very good point. And maybe it could be, even if it was just a case of having a team of 3 or 4 who do it for each one, and then having a I don't want to say noob lead, but sort of like the same premise as Code Cow and Newman were talking about before, which I think I've seen a couple of times in the Aiken live coding. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a
Sebastian.
good point.
Sebastian, you got
Yeah, thanks. No objections. I think it's a good proposal. Just a clarification. Roberto did a really great contribution in the video creation of Mesh, and I did something else. My question is, no objection with the proposal. I think a 2025 version of the PPBL deserves a good effort in terms of videos. My concern goes a little bit beyond, is how we'll promote this product when it's finished. Because this product is high quality product needed for the ecosystem. How will be and I think this connects with what Sustain is doing in this moment around the Gimbalabs future Gimbalabs efforts. My question is, how does this product specifically will go outside to the ecosystem? Because in the current environment, people like Cardano Foundation, people like several projects are collaborating each other, producing educational products, right? So how this product will be outside is my question. Thanks.
okay. Yep.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that, but that absolutely needs to be taken into account. I think
Yeah,
every video that gets updated and released probably needs some sort of social media marketing just to bang the drum a little bit about what we're doing. It can be
yes, I think it's more a concern. It's not about the specific this
yeah.
proposal, but it's about the future of this really good high quality product.
Well,
Because
in that case, I think we could add on a bit of a budget for marketing social media, either create a whole new role or possibly tie that onto somebody else's role. And yeah, sort of bang the drum really and show off the Gimbal Labs product. I think it's a really good point because I think the Gimbal Labs presence is pretty good when it comes to Twitter, but I do remember as a student myself, it
I don't
wasn't
want
the
to be
easiest thing to find. It wasn't obvious to find the Gimbalabs course. So yes, I think that's a very good.
My intention is not being go outside of the context of the proposal, but I'm seeing a really high quality product that can be just in the realms of Gimbalabs, right? But thanks, good proposal.
Okay. Oh yeah, thanks.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much. I think it's time to move along. Let's go over to Nori to this Odin presentation. I'll share the screen and I'm going to set myself a timer for 4 minutes. And there it goes. Okay. So based on what
Just a question,
go,
Newman, before we move
yeah.
on. Is that proposal still in the forming stage, or is it possible to get consent today? Just for,
Oh,
it sounded like there were
um,
no strong objections, so I'm just wondering.
yeah. How does that feel to based on the way the proposal's written now, do we feel good about a consent round? Because we definitely want to all right, I see Harsha's got his hand up. What do you think?
So I was just wondering, I mean, both I and James and Sebastian had like little concerns about like say the budget and all of that. So if we get to consent now, would those concerns be like swept under the rug?
Are we still talking about the video
Yeah,
proposal?
yeah,
Is that
Yeah.
the question?
yeah. Nori,
Oh
yeah,
no,
Nori was suggesting. Yeah,
no. I think I'll go back and rewrite parts of it, and then hopefully try and present it for a vote next week, if that's all right.
yeah, yeah. So that's one of the things that Harsha and I discussed was that because we have so many today, I would love for basically to say, hey, this one is ready for consent based on these changes. I'm hoping that next week we go through quite a bit of consent and that it really promotes the async work through this week. I would love to see a lot of active contribution on the Discord and people getting together and talking about the proposals such that next week will be a good, maybe we won't have any new proposals and just try to get the consent on these proposals. But in the interest of time, let's keep going. I'm looking at, we've got about 40 minutes left. And yeah, Caesar is looking for the direct link to the proposal. Someone could drop that in the chat. And what do you think? What do you think, Nori? I kind of like the idea because then, for whatever reason, just having a little bit of extra time to sort of let it sit out and get those finalized concerns into the proposal.
No, yeah, that's good. But
Yeah.
one other way of doing consent is to say, if there is a conversation between Harsha, Sebastian, and James to come up with a good compensation amount, but the rest is okay, that could be a consent, and then it doesn't have to come back as long as those things are resolved to those people's satisfaction.
Yeah, and this addresses that sort of like where consent takes a super long time, and that is something that we worry about. But I
just brought it up
yeah,
to be cognizant of the limited number of meeting times we have left. So
yes,
but it's fine to bring it back.
Yeah, all right. Let's talk about you and I, Nori. Let's talk about the summer of collaboration or the summer sprints 2025. I'm going to bring up the proposal on the screen, and I feel really good about presenting this as somebody that goes between. Those are my two main contributions. Where I spend my time in the Cardano space is in Odin and in Gimbalabs. And basically the idea is that we want to have short starter projects, something that can be completed or at least steps made in a 5 day or 10 work day period, 1 week or 2 weeks. And that they should have sort of thinking about the carnival of last summer at Gimbalabs, like kind of like a more fun or light theme. But it could be about anything. And in your proposal, which I'm going to bring up, you mentioned a couple of avenues, like things to to suggested projects. And and those were like content creation, maybe, yeah, the different things which were right here. Bum, bum, bum. Um, uh, we definitely want to sort of strengthen the connections between communities. And I'm looking for those. Oh yeah, like any kind of project idea or a tool or an event. It could even just be like research on a certain thing, like creating media. What other things could we say about it?
There are
Nori?
some existing conversations around experimenting with things like fractal democracy or other governance or collaboration techniques. There's some experiments being talked about around how to do work better asynchronously using video. Lots of things pop up all the time, so any of those
Yeah.
kind of things could be fun to try out.
And
And we're also
and
seeking proposals from the community as well.
yeah, and it's sort of another mini sort of proposal that you would create a proposal for your project idea. And I'll underline that the process of going through a proposal is a value in itself because it asks you to think about how you would like to spend your time, a core Gimbalabs idea, and then make it in writing. I heard somebody say it's like figure out who you are and do it on purpose. So this is an opportunity for you to come up with this idea, write it down, and then get a little support from the community. It allows other people to collaborate with you and to help you build. Maybe you need somebody that like a partner to go through your writing with, or it's a lot more fun to do things together, in my opinion.
And
Um,
I think that's a core piece is proposals should be collaborative in nature where you're welcoming the community to come play with you.
yes. Now that would be a distinguishing thing, meaning that you reason why you're making a proposal um is to have this thing. Okay, our sound is going to go off. So I wonder, could we at this point, does anyone have any questions uh to clarify what it is, or if you're not understanding anything,
I
and
think,
yeah.
can I just add the little concrete piece that I don't think got included in the actual write-up is
Oh,
the Leadership Academy is going to be contributing 5,000 ADA to help with the incentives. And we're wondering if Gimbal Labs would be interested in matching funds just to support the contributors who work through the summer on these kind of projects.
now that might be something we could get consent on or something to discuss and that is something like as a part of this proposal, this idea of matching funds. It's something that we brought up before. Um, what do you think about that? And that could be the real ask here. So a proposal here in this open space is asking of the time from community members and draws on the treasury. And so this would be um, a, a 5,000 ADA draw or some amount draw in matching with our own ode community funds. How does that feel? Because that would be great to sort of put in the as a core part of the proposal. And so I'm looking. So James gives a thumbs up. Harsha has his hand up. Does anyone resonate strongly with that? And I'll pass over the mic to Harsha.
So I
Andrew
was
gives a
just
thumbs up.
curious, how are the funds distributed? So projects come in, they open up the space to collaborate, and then what happens?
That'll be one of the experiments is how do we incentivize little projects like that? And I think for me, the goal wouldn't be to drop all of it into the first project that comes along, but do an experiment and say, how do we do it with fractal democracy? Do we do something else and carve out little bits of the budget for these experiments? Because with the number
Yeah.
of weeks we have in the summer, we can probably run about 15 of them.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions and then especially about because I would love to be able to write down that like, hey, there's matching funds from Gimbal Labs. Um, is that available to be consented on? Does anyone resonate with that?
Fully resonate.
Okay, that's a positive.
Yeah, no problems for
All
me.
right.
Good.
Um, Adrian, how do you feel about that? We'll do a little consent round just because.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Caesar, and then Code Cow. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Skip me.
That's all right. That's all right. Um, we'll pass. Basically, it's to get to as a part of this proposal, that there's a 5,000 ADA matching fund that matches with the Odin treasury. All right. All right. Martin Mix, how about you? Anything? Scott? Mix is a thumbs up.
I would just
All
like
right.
to, I think some of the questions were asked already with Nori as far as saying that there were experiments, but I'd kind of like to, I don't know, it's not a lot to ask, right? But like still with like maybe some examples of the experiments in the proposal or something like that. Again,
Yeah.
it's not about the ask, it's just knowing what it's going to be applied to and how it's going to be used. And I guess maybe like in the end of it, like maybe what was the expected outcome versus what's the actual outcome of the 15 week sprint in the summer or the the summer collaboration.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's look down here as my screen buffers up there. We do have some intended outcomes that are like for the community and for the individuals. Like
Oh,
here,
don't
these
get me wrong,
benefits.
I'm not trying to be negative about it. I think it's a great idea too, by
Oh,
the way.
oh no, but that's definitely a clarifying thing because it's open-ended, but it might be interesting. For instance, I would love to go through Lawrence Lay's code base um, uh, for this split the pot charity contract. He had an old Project Catalyst proposal, and it's sort of open-ended by design, so that like, hey, what is this thing that you want to do? And here is a way to sort of get others involved. Yeah.
Mhm. And there are two kind of pre-proposals that have been submitted. One is to
Oh yeah.
stand up and create the Collaborative Sparks website, which is really a website to put in S3 and other self-management best practices so that other community members can look at that and use that as a resource. So just getting something up there and get some momentum around it is being proposed as a 1 week thing. Another one is an experiment around debt or IOU tokenomics. So people can contribute to a project, collect IOUs, and then if and when it gets funded, they can collect on those IOUs. So things like that are
Yeah.
small experiments that have been proposed to date.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Okay. And thanks. That was a good question round, and I think we'll have we'll make some changes to this, and we'll come back next week and see how far we can get. All right. Harsha, anything in the chat that should be oh, you know what? I'll share my screen again and we'll go to next. The next one
So there
will
is one
be
question. They said how many sprints across what time period of the summer?
yeah,
Oh,
that's a good
15.
question.
Okay.
That's in the proposal, yeah. 1 week
Okay.
sprints for the months of summer. So I think it is
Yeah.
15.
All right.
But I'm wondering, are there any outstanding clarifications or objections that need to be addressed for next week, or is it ready for consent?
Well, the one about sort of concrete projects, I guess we showed a couple of those. Um, and it felt like we've got pretty good consent on the matching funds. Anything outstanding that we should know about? You can drop it in the chat because I want to queue up a manual, and then we'll go to Code Cow to wrap us up. So 15 minutes for a manual and 15 minutes for the Code Cow.
All right. I guess, yeah, I'm just asking so that we can push as many projects to consent as possible so they don't have to come back next week.
Next week. Yeah, exactly. And so any questions that you have, you can say them now or get them into the chat and I think we're going to beat the bushes on this to try to get folks in because there's something magical and I know that it's in the air here with these two communities, Gimbalabs and Odin. And I think wider, it's just like, hey, it's the summertime, like you're not in school anymore. You don't have a set schedule. Let's do some deep work on that project that you've always wanted to do. Whether it's to build a website or to dig into this something out there, and we want you to do it. So if you're listening either right now and you don't want to say anything, or you're out there in the future listening to a recording of my voice and our conversation, like you have a project that you want to do, like come and let us help you do that project. Um, if it's collaborative and it's on Cardano, you're on the right spot. How does that sound?
Sweet.
Nice. And speaking of that, there is a group of folks in Lagos, Nigeria, that is led up by Emmanuel and his crew down there, that want to learn how to build things with Cardano. And let's hear from them. What do you say?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'll be sharing my screen now to discuss on our proposal. Um,
Do you want me to drive or do you want to share your screen?
yeah, I'm sharing my screen now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. So this proposal is about onboarding student developers, new developers to Cardano development and smart contract education. This was the title we gave it. I gave it last year around September. So basically it's about onboarding new developers using the Andamio platform, Aiken and Pluto's PBL. So yes, we the third outcome, so introduction to and uses of various Cardano developers to and SDKs. So students are expected to deploy and build smart contracts from scratch. So building reward projects. This also entails hackathon. So at the end of the education live session online, we'll be having we'll be hosting an hackathon. So when I first proposed this, we were planning to target 50 students, but Jethro, my friend, said we should extend it to 70 because people are willing to learn here and people are willing to get into new technologies like blockchain technology, but they don't know how to. So developers and coordinator is needed, which is Emmanuel and Jethro. At least I am not I'm still learning, but in Cardano development. But so that's why Emmanuel would be needing 2 weeks to take a deep dive into the Aiken and Pluto's PBL for 2 weeks. Because I would be the one to take them right now. Because when we first during the initial proposition of this proposal, we were sourcing for 2 to 3 Gimbalabs educators. I think with time running, I think I'm getting adapted to using Cardano tools and with different self and Asteria projects we've been through. So I think I'll be able to handle that after getting on to its 2 weeks deep dive of Aiken and Pluto's PBL. So one of the interesting things about the impact and benefits, because they are so unlimited, but I would so maybe after the developers education. We plan to initiate a developers community in Nigeria named Blockprint, a Gimbalabs community extension to the African community focused on Cardano core development. I imagine something like TX5 team in TX5 guys in Nigeria, whereby we are developing core Cardano developers tools. So this is what I imagine, and it would be very, very great if that type of thing can come from Gimbalabs community. And dedicated students. Okay. So yes, we plan to host this. I think it will be 3 months. 3 months. 3 months. Okay, yeah, it's 2 months of teaching, but the overall budget, let me just put it 2 to 3 months because it's 2 months of teaching, but it's going to be obviously spread into 3 months because of preparatory stage. So I'll be getting on to so these are the resources required: GitHub repo, obviously, Google Meets for our live session, and Notion. So in the milestone one, on the financial aspects, which is we plan to hold a 1 day onboarding event. In this event, I would be taking the students a non-technical lecture on Cardano and blockchain technology right from time, which is from Bitcoin. And so because most of the students, they really don't have access, they don't have they've been using blockchain, but they don't really know what blockchain is all about. And so yes, that's it. It will be a 1 day event, and so this event, a lot of activities will be going on. Maybe if possible, students will play Asteria in the event and Hydra Asteria, which is one of the best ways to introduce students to blockchain development. So yes, for the events, we'll be requesting an amount of 2,250 ADA. Milestone two. In this phase, I and Jethro will be kicking off our session of lecturing and teaching, which is going to be majorly online. So yes, we plan to hold 16 sessions. It might go less, it might go more, but we plan to hold on 16 sessions covering 2 months. That's 2 week, 2 sessions per week. So and the students are our top priority. So we don't want one student being left behind. And obviously, not every student is going to participate, but every student has a tech stack, and not all Cardano developers uses Aiken or raw Aiken. So yes, so these are the plans, and so we'll be holding a weekly quiz, and so also we have provision for their internet service provider subscription. So for the coordinator, I am Jethro.
All right, we'll give a couple more minutes to discuss, and that'd be great if you could just wrap her up a little bit.
I think Emmanuel is frozen.
This
Oh boy.
is so yeah, so in the hackathon, are you guys hearing me?
Yeah, we got you now.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So in the hackathon, we will still be sourcing for one Gimbalabs contributor. I'm nominating Asha Newman or Andrew if you would like to as the judge, as the hackathon judge. So yeah, so the hackathon judge is to hold 3 sessions, that's 300 ADA per week per session, for maximum of 3 sessions, that's total of 900 ADA. So, but we're asking a total of 9,900 ADA. So for this project, for the realization of this project. So yeah.
Oh, this is great. And it looks like you've done quite a bit of editing on the proposal, and it's pretty clear. Like there are the responsibilities. I mean, the total of nine under 10,000 ADA for all of this work, just as my initial reaction, that seems like a super bargain.
That does look like a bargain, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. But it does seem to be fully thought out. And now, clarifying questions for a good few minutes, 3 minutes of questioning. Unfortunately, we don't have too much time to spend on it, but I definitely think that this could be consented to next week, if we can, get through some questions of clarifying style.
Yeah,
Anybody
yeah,
with
sure.
concerns or things like that? Sebastian.
Yeah, I think I support completely this proposal. In my opinion, this is the kind of proposals that are aligned with the Gimbalabs mission and our current treasury, right? If we have funds
Yeah.
available to support proposals, this is one of those. My question is about accountability at the end, how not only this project, but the other projects in general will report progress to the community, to the Game Labs community in general. What's the mechanism? Why, for example, I can follow what's happening in the milestone 3, for example, in terms of not only budget, but in terms of activities and all that stuff. But in general
Yeah.
terms, I think and Emmanuel has been here promoting this idea for months. So I think it's time to act on this.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Andrew, do
thanks,
you
so
have? Oh, Nori, and then Scott. That'd be great.
I don't have any clarifying questions. I think the proposal is very clear, aligned with Gimbalabs' vision and goals. So no objections from me. And just as a point of consent, I think we don't have to wait till next week if we can get like consent is lack of objections. So just
Yeah.
in the spirit of getting shit done, we should
Yeah.
consent as fast as possible and not keep pushing stuff off week after week if there's no reason to do so.
I look, man. There's a good positive vibe all over the board. I'm ready. And this we get it from Nori. He knows. He knows. Thank you. Harsha and then Scott. And then think about it, before you to go, Harsha. If you have any objections, please let them know. If you don't want to mention them in public, you can send me things. But I think we're gonna consent to this soon, pending no objections. Harsha.
It's not even like an objection. I just think you can round the budget to 10,000 and make the first position like maybe 1,000 data, which looks nicer than 700 data.
There you go.
okay, yeah. We proposed. Yeah, this was part of the contemplations I and Jethro was having. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah.
Might be something we want to. Yeah, for sure. Okay, Scott, and then Mix.
Yeah, I was just gonna touch on similar to what Harsh spoke on, but I think I don't know if the educators are getting compensated
Okay.
for what for their
Yeah.
time as they should be, is what I'm getting at. Because a Licton sum is like 150 ADA per event, which seems fairly low. I'm assuming the event is about 8 hours, 6 hours, something like that. So that was the
Yeah.
only thing I would want you to reconsider, maybe, is increasing the increasing the proposal, but not like outlandishly. I just want you to be compensated for your time and for your whoever else you're coordinating this with.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Scott. Mix, what do you got for us?
Yeah, first, what is block print actually? Maybe I missed that. There is like initial block print. Yeah, what is that exactly?
Yeah, this is after the whole education. We propose to initiate a Cardano code developers community called Blockprint,
I see.
which is after the education, whereby it will be student developers building full-time on Cardano. So, yeah.
Great. So about the student, actually, I have maybe clarification question. there is also a mention about the Lao students, which with a potential risk. So what I feel that maybe is missing in this proposal is the criteria for the students. Like, what is the student eligibility criteria, or how will you ensure the participation, across different skill level? Especially, you've added the Bluetooth. Uh, if it was just Aiken, but maybe I'm mistaken. But if it was just Aiken, maybe we could have broader students or I don't know engagement. But to be honest, adding Bluetooth will really lower those engagement because of the whole Haskell. We know the things about the Haskell. So is there any eligibility? Like, do you know the skill levels, or like what would be the criteria for this so that that potential risk won't happen? Like,
Okay, sorry. I don't know if I can take that.
Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead. Yeah,
Jethro, go ahead.
Jethro.
Yeah, okay. So the thing is, the one day event, there will be sort of a what are the how will I put it, a screening phase. So those people attending the first day event, the onboarding process, so they will have been screened. They will be developers already. So we know that they're efficient and proficient in some skills. So that will be like the first screening phase for them to attend the event.
Yeah, and addition to that, I am a member of Google Developer Student Association here in Unilab. Jethro is a member of Microsoft Students
Learn student
Association here
ambassador.
in Unilab.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, and we have the audience. If it's about the audience, if it's about their tech stack, we have the audience. So yes, and on this as Pluto's, I think Pluto's PBL on Adamio. Yeah, so I think Pluto's PBL on Adamio is also talking about Aiken. But if it is about Pluto's, I have no idea. I think I can read some Haskell code, but if it's about Haskell and Pluto's, yeah, it's not part of the project. So yes.
no, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
great, thanks.
I think we should have a consent round now. Um, uh, Harsha, what do you think?
I agree. Like if there are no
Let's
concerns,
do
I
it.
think it's a good idea.
Okay, we'll start with Harsha. Harsha thinks it's a good idea. Then Adrian, Caesar, after that.
Thumbs
What do you
on.
think, Adrian? Yep.
I think it's a good idea.
Consent. Okay. Caesar's got a thumbs up. Code Cow, what do you think? Code Cow's thumbs up. James, and then Mix.
Magnificent. I could not be more excited about
Yes.
this and so impressed by Emmanuel's work on Asteria, right? This is not just Emmanuel bringing a project. This is somebody who has already been a core contributor to one of our most exciting projects. And so I'm so
Absolutely
excited
true.
to see this go into the
Yes.
next step.
Yes, absolutely. Mix.
Indeed, it is great proposal, but yeah, when I saw the Bluetooth, it reminded me, some like bad memories about people engagement, student engagement, etc. But I'm really excited to see about Aiken, and I have high hope that many people will get benefit from this proposal.
Yeah, likewise. That's great. Nori, then Scott, and then Sebastian.
No objections from here. I think it's a great proposal.
Excellent. Scott, and then Sebastian.
Yep, same here. Thanks.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, no
Sebastian, take
objections.
us.
No objection. You have some observations that I put them in the document, the proposal about accountability and about how the proposal will be promoted across the ecosystem.
Yep.
Also how resources like the Plurus PBL 2025 and ICANN will be used, in what intensity. The goal is to use them in broadly in general. But as I said before, in general terms, good proposal, no objections. Not structural objections, just clarifications about a few topics. That's it.
Yep. Perfect. Perfect. So So you can make those little adjustments, Emmanuel, and congratulations. You're a funded proposal here with Gimbalabs. Yay! I'm hitting the party emoji.
Yeah,
All
no, thanks.
right.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I really do appreciate.
Thank you.
Hey, hooray! Look at these. I'm taking a screenshot. Look at all this stuff. Perfect. Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm really, really excited. All right. We have a couple minutes left, and Harsha, Kokau, let's bring up our proposal and sort of talk about it for a little bit, and so we can get that on ball rolling, and then have a few minutes to check out, like 5 minutes here. Is that cool?
Yeah, that works.
And I'll share my screen, and you guys can talk it through. Here you go. And oh, I got all this stuff up on my screen. And here we go. It's right here. All right. So this one, I love that rationale on this. It's like audit costs are extremely high. Deploying to mainnet is reasonably expensive depending on the validators. We've experimented with this community code review, and we sort of got good feedback all around. So we're asking for a little support to codify and edify this pattern of an expert, a noob, and then community. These roles I think are what's sort of key. A builder, somebody that brings a project, a noob, somebody that is interested and wants to understand, somebody that's learning, and then community experts. And then we also added this facilitator and promoter, somebody to sort of convene and bring people in. Harsha, I guess does anyone have like questions about this? Or are they unsure about this that they haven't seen it, or any other things you want to add, Code Cow or Harsha?
So the one thing I wanted to add is that, like, instead of like builders with just a validator and throw it at us and us figuring it out, I think they should have detailed comments on the validator so that it's easier for us to go through the validators, understand the logic in limited amount of time.
Right. Right. And that's actually one of the things that CodeCow did with the double spend, is that he did great documentation, which was one of the last modules in the Aiken PBL about how to create a spec and how to create some documentation. So it really is a benefit to the builder to have this opportunity to prepare so that people can understand and the auditors can, especially with an open source project where people are building with it and there's more than one contributor. Along that line, and feel free to jump in, Code Cow. Along that line, the noob, if they prepare with questions and comments, meaning that if you're just reading it cold, you only get kind of a superficial of view. But if you've gone through it and you're like, okay, this is what I'm interested in, that would be great.
I guess it's kind of hard to explain. I think it's not completely thought out yet. What I really liked and what I'm imagining for this product would be an opportunity for kind of like a marketplace where somebody could put their code base up for bounty, let's say for $1,000. And then we, as auditors, as contributors here, who can put our stamp of approval on that, and then redeem that reward once we do that. And then I would imagine the way we would come to that conclusion is through open coding sessions where one of us takes the Newman role. But I would imagine it's all within us, and it's just us code or peer reviewing code together. just looking at it together, reading it together, and understanding it as a group of individuals that haven't looked at it before, right? And we could all interchange of the Newman role.
Yeah.
But right, like what would you put on chain? Like I would imagine it's like the end result of that live session is like, okay, like my wallet is going to say I give this a stamp of approval, and then whoever else participated in that session could do that individually, right? So like maybe Newman wasn't okay with it, and so he could do that separately, but that would be the on-chain thing. And then but kind of what we offer is that live video session where we get to that result on a live video session in the peer fashion. Again, it's like
Okay.
yeah, it's not completely thought out. I don't really know exactly what we're asking for. I think maybe and that's what we're asking for is the clarity,
Right.
right? Like let's figure this out.
Yeah. James, go ahead.
Yeah, like there's this really happy future where the work coming out of this proposal is seen in the eyes of the community as sufficient to comprise an audit, like an official audit, you know.
Right.
But I'm wondering if that needs to be a success criteria for this proposal. And I would encourage you guys to think about building towards that happy future, but not naming that as success for this particular proposal. And maybe to imagine like a three steps, right? What could you accomplish over the series of, say, three proposals, such that the end result would be, wow, the Cardano community sees this distributed auditor as a viable alternative to the black box auditing that we currently have, right? But if you were willing to put that off, then this proposal could focus on achievable goals of learning as much as possible, testing community feedback on whether or not this feels like an audit or not, or what else they would want to see, and giving yourselves some runway to build it up over time.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things that I heard Code Cow say on Tuesday was that he had been in the seat of the developer being audited, and now he really wanted to turn the table and provide the same for somebody else. That's magical. I don't know if that pattern generalizes, but personally, I would love to find out. And if you guys could figure out with the first proposal how to like capture that magic in a way that gives more people the chance to sit in both seats, that could be a really nice place to start.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. Um, so we are at the top of the hour. Hey, we made it. We made it. Congratulations. Congratulations, everybody. So much was discussed. Such a deep and rewarding session. I really want to thank you all. Um, uh, we got to consent with Emmanuel and his project. We are funding a group of learners in Africa and with a community that we trust, that Emmanuel has been here for so long. I am so stoked to see that come to fruition. We have a
Are
couple
we
of
allowed to
great.
talk about it as TX Pipe Nigeria? Emmanuel, what's the plan?
Yeah.
That was a compelling sales pitch you gave, but I don't know how far you want to take it.
All right.
Guys,
So
congrats.
let's go. I unfortunately have to leave you all now. I will sign off, and I will hopefully see you all in the Discords and see you next week. And I know that we're gonna turn off the recording for a moment at least and
Yeah.
go into our dev stand-up.
Just one question leading to next week. Should we agree now that before reviewing any new proposals next week, we revisit for
Yes.
consent the ones we talked about today? Okay.
I can make that agreement. That sounds like
Any
a good
objections
plan.
to that? That it feels like we really want to close the circle on the things we talked about first before entertaining any more new ideas. This is an incredible set of proposals to take us through the summer. but want to make sure they have space to get to that point next week.
That
Feels
sounds
good.
perfect.
And if we can focus on raising objections and then resolving them on the spot, that could help us move through them and get done before the summer shuts things down.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you all.
Great session, y'all. Thanks for facilitating, Newman.
All right. All right.